Welcome to Still Please Galaxy of Heroes. We are back with a talk video. We've got the Ninth Sisters kit to break down because it's only fun to analyze these things before the characters are released in the game where we can speculate. Afterwards, whatever. Synergies. I want to think through these a little bit. There's some possible interesting thing here, at least things to discuss. Developer Insights. We always go through it. Content update. There's a couple things to address there. No gearing this time around because we did that in the last video and it might be a bit before we approach that again. Now we are going to break down this kit. The way that we do it here is we just focus in on the key terms to simplify our understanding here. We're not going to read through each of these. I expect by now everyone has already looked at these kits. So the basic, too easy, that is physical damage on the target, then damage again with increased damage. That's something that's become pretty common with a lot of these new characters. The application for it with the Jedi, I'm not sure yet, but it's something with like B1, it would get through stacks of B1 a lot faster. He's going to inflict one stack of Purge on the target, and then if the target is a Jedi, inflict a second stack of Purge. It's a little bit different than the Second Sister, where the Second Sister it was inflict a stack if they are a Jedi, and then there's a chance of a stack of Purge on top of that. So if the Second Sister and the Ninth Sister are attacking the same target, that's going to be 3 guaranteed stacks of Purge with a chance of a 4th one because of the Second Sister. First special, not worth my time. So this is damage to the target again, but this is the ability like Second Sister has where it consumes all the stacks of Purge. For each stack that the Ninth Sister is consuming, she's going to inflict damage over time on the target and then gain an equivalent heal over time for each stack consumed or for each damage over time inflicted. If they're a Jedi, a dispel on top of that. This is interesting to me because of it having potential Vader synergy. I think we'll approach that later in that synergy section, but this is the ability here that I think is a little interesting because of the potentiality there. The second special, ground pound, what we have here is AoE damage that's going to inflict daze, defense down, potency down, and that becomes unresistible if they're a Jedi. Ninth Sister will gain taunt on top of that, and then for each enemy inflicted with Purge and damaged by the ability, Ninth Sister will be gaining 10% defense up to 50% defense. So if everyone has Purge, she will get 50% defense. This is a Zeta ability, so that's telling me that is going to be pretty powerful, that they're locking it behind that Zeta wall. The mechanics of this, it's going to be incentivizing that Purge is spread on multiple characters, whereas the first special or Second Sister's, one of her specials, where you get more damage or more effects if the character has more stacks. This is an ability where by spreading out the stacks of Purge, you are going to get more of a benefit. The other thing we're seeing here, now that we have multiple Inquisitorius characters, is some patterns that are being established. There's 2 distinct types of specials. There's the special that gains benefit from having Purge on the field, and then there is the special that has greater effect by consuming Purge. So balancing those 2 is going to be important. The leadership ability here can't stop the Empire. What we have here is allies are immune to speed limiting effects. That's only Jedi Knight Luke. In the way that they've talked about this in the developer insights is each sister, each Inquisitorius tagged character is going to have a leadership that is specifically designed for a specific Jedi. That's going to have limited utility. I'm not convinced by these things. So whenever an enemy gains bonus turn meter, think Yoda. Inquisitorius allies are going to gain potency and tenacity. That's going to be stacking. And if that enemy is a Jedi, 50% chance to gain a stack of purge. So that's something that also existed with Second Sister, is these passive abilities that are going to help add purge onto the field on Jedi under certain conditions. The other aspect of this stacking potency and tenacity is as the fight goes on, that just means an increased chance that these debuffs are going to be landing, possibly to the point where tenacity up no longer becomes a factor. The fights might not last that long though. Final aspect of the kit, unique, it's just a scratch. What we're looking at here is for each Empire ally present at the start, Ninth Sister is going to gain defense, health, tenacity. That's doubled for the Inquisitorious allies. Each time an Empire ally is critically hit, Ninth Sister gains taunt and 50% crit avoidance. Allies are going to gain 20% crit avoidance. And if the ally is Inquisitorious, Ninth Sister is going to recover health. So that adds an ability that is going to keep increasing the survivability of Ninth Sister and just make her a more effective tank. And I almost moved on without addressing it. The Omicron is a territory war Omicron. Empire allies gain defense, Inquisitorious allies are immune to ability block and stun. It's pretty underwhelming, but the bigger problem and with these Omicrons, as I think about them, is they're really expensive for these conditional leaderships. Maybe if they were on the unique, it would be different. But since it's on the leadership, that means you're hoping that your opponent is setting down a particular Jedi on defense in order for you to get the benefit from the Omicron. That's pretty ridiculous, and it's to the point where none of these Omicrons can really be recommended. And that's completely ignoring the fact that these days Jedi are not used on defense all that regularly. So it's, until we are flush with Omicrons, I would be ignoring all of these. With these synergies, they're suggesting Mara Jade, Second Sister, and Darth Vader. Those are the ones I want to key in on. Darth Vader we alluded to earlier in the kit analysis. Because of Vader's leadership Zeta, damage over time doesn't expire. That has the potential, if Vader does get a rework or touch-up, probably on the leadership, where Vader could get the Inquisitorious tag, and if he gets that Inquisitorious tag, leadership could be touched up a little bit to be focused on a specific Jedi, and then that damage over time is going to synergize between the two characters. It's something that in the next marquee that is probably a week or two away that I'll be looking out for to see if there's any more potential interaction between characters. Second Sister is obvious, but what I found interesting, and I was going through Second Sister's kit again, was other than both of them benefiting from Purge being spread around, I didn't see a lot of direct synergy between the two of them. Mara Jade, she has the synergy where if you are going up against a Jedi Knight Luke lead, it is something where Mara Jade and her AoE stagger is going to work nicely with, where if you can't slow down the Night Sisters with Jedi Knight Luke, then that is going to make that team potentially slow if they're modded in that way, and then the stagger is just going to make that squad take even longer before they finally get a turn. The rest of the developer insights is pretty thin. This was the case with Second Sister as well. What's being emphasized here is the tankiness of the character, how some of that tankiness is influenced passively through the enemy interaction, and then the final aspect here is really the benefits of spreading Purge around for making the Ninth Sister effective. With a content update, a few things to highlight. One, we're getting a little clarification on the Grand Arena make good. It's more assurances that the stuff is forthcoming. We'll talk about it when it happens. What I care more about is the additive drops on the Kyrotech Shock Prod. That is going to be a great benefit towards me because I'm going after JMK, and right now every remaining relic I need is all the Shock Prod, none of the other piece. And that raises for me the question, just wondering, for these in-demand characters, what is the balance between those two chirotech pieces? It's something I haven't specifically looked at, but I probably will take a look at soon. Mara Jade is now on a node. This was something I was anticipating that there was some debate on the Discord about, where I felt like we were going to see Mara Jade on a light side, dark side node or a fleet node. And that's because of the past pattern of seeing a lot of characters in one location and then one character from a faction in a different one. So like with the Bad Bats, they're all on light side nodes. Omega is on a fleet node. That's happened with other factions in the past. It makes it harder to go after a faction. That's what I was anticipating. I am surprised, though, it's on a 16 energy node, because it's one of the things that I look out for is how expensive of a farm a character is, because it's an indication of how CG sees them. I was expecting Mara Jade to be on a 20 energy node. It's nice that we'll be able to farm her faster. That might be part of the idea. With all of the other Starkiller Legacy characters on Cantina, that's to make it a harder decision to farm either the relic materials or go after Starkiller. It's something I'm expecting for these Inquisitorius characters when they become available too. I think that's something CG will be leaning more into, is making Cantina choices more difficult. So I would make sure to get ahead of this as much as possible, because I'm expecting to see multiple Inquisitorius marquees are going to be on Cantina. So Ninth Sister, Second Sister, I'm expecting Cantina farms. Iden Verso is probably going to be somewhere else, maybe Fleet. That's how I'm reading the tea leaves here. And Iden Verso, I guess I'll point out, like, I've been taking all these new characters to 4 stars via shipments because I've got plenty of crystals. And on that note, we're going to get out of here. Tomorrow is the NBA trade deadline, so I am going to be far more interested in that than the release of Ninth Sister. But you guys enjoy watching the testing. I am going to be glued to Twitter. Be safe out there, everyone, and be excellent to each other. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.